Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Challenger North America edition. I'm Nathanius, joined on the desk by Zombie Grub as we make our way to the winner's match of Group C. C for cereal.
C for conundrum.
For conundrum.
As NA is.
Yes, that is, or confusing, perhaps. Catastrophic, maybe even, as that last match was a doozy. But we've got some Terran versus Zerg memes for you as we move on up. It's MaSa versus Silky. Silky played very solid, very well against Future in the first series. Of course, MaSa is a bit of a different beast.
Well, very different. He has different styles. He can be probably more aggressive. And I think that he is still kind of generally better. It's always a bit of a question mark as far as his mechanics go, if he's actually playing StarCraft a lot or not, but he did well in Winter.
You telling me other games exist aside from StarCraft?
No.
I mean, even in like, you know, a million years ago when they invented the Atari, I think all they were thinking about was StarCraft.
All they
just couldn't get the pathing down with that, that joystick. It just wasn't there yet.
That like the Pong ball is actually a Reaver,
they were close.
You know, attack.
Yeah, exactly. It was an early prototype of the same stick the Raven pilot uses to control. Look at the portrait in StarCraft 2. The truth is out there.
Yeah.
And wow, the players are communicating solely with emojis in the lobby chat. We are counting down to get into it. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us today. Just as a reminder, we'll be going into Group D for Domination, Death, and Destruction tomorrow. So there will be more StarCraft WCS action. We have 2 matches today. We've got this winner's match, and then we've got the decider coming up next. And also just going to give a nice soft plug. If you haven't already checked out, we've got the Machine Bundle, Twitch Prime. We've been seeing the sprays today, so I wanted to show a little bit of love for that. Get your Twitch emotes in-game. But it is time for the winner's match. Who is going to make it out of Group C in first place, which would make it Group C for class? Will it be this gentleman in the bottom right, the red Terran player? He is MaSa.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, he is Silky. Silky smooth.
I don't think I've actually had enough interactions with real Silk in my life to actually understand what exactly that is.
What?
I don't know. Are there a lot of Silk products that just show up in everyday life, though?
I mean, there's enough of them.
I don't know.
Isn't the shirt I'm wearing like part silk?
I don't know. You know, people talk about it all the time, but all I remember is reading about silkworms and stuff in like books a long time ago.
Well, like nothing.
I'm uneducated.
Not very many clothes are like pure silk. One, because I think it's uncomfortable, and 2, because it's like more expensive, right?
Yeah, I feel like if I remember, like it kind of has to be made with other stuff to some degree, or it's not. It doesn't like hold its structure, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we keep saying silky smooth, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even sure that I properly understand what exactly that means.
To be honest, that's more like a razor commercial, like saying.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Silky smooth. You're like, okay, I trust that.
I'm gonna be honest. Even like a freshly shaved face, like how smooth does it really feel? Anyway, we have MaSa going for the wall off on the natural. Generally, we've seen some more. I'm trying to think. The Korean players that I've seen do this wall off usually are going for some sort of fast tech. And this is like an anti-cheese setup where they're able to just kind of block off really early. This does allow you to send the Reaper straight across the map and block. So we actually had Silky go pool first on this map, right? Against Future, and he got a lot of damage done with it. So this setup specifically allows MaSa to do what's Future did, except without the risk. So there's nothing that these Zerglings are really going to accomplish once the Marine finishes up behind the wall.
Yeah. It's kind of that middle of the road amount of lings too. I mean, this is probably partial that he was expecting MaSa, knew it was possible MaSa was going to proxy racks him, but I want to try and do something, and then just being completely denied is always a little awkward if you really are angry that the Terran denied you this, and you try and also follow up with an all-in. You're usually well prepared against that too, so you just kind of have to say, okay, that's all right, fine, you got that. And then you're on to the rest of the game, which, I mean, we're talking about MaSa here, so is it going to be Liberator Cyclone? And by Liberator Cyclone, I mean Hellbat Cyclone.
That's the thing I like about MaSa, though. MaSa does...
He does.
He's good at everything, and he does everything. So it's not unusual to see him going to mechs, not unusual to see him do Hellbats, Banshees. MaSa even does battle cruisers from time to time. So, in fact, like, man, right after that patch hit. He hadn't ever played it once. I always go back to like making that comparison about his game in WESG Canada Finals, where he's like, you know what? They told me the battlecruiser got buffed, so I just started massing them and I won. I'm like, well,
yeah.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
That kind of sums up MaSa, though, when we try to like overly explain, like, this guy sometimes plays and sometimes doesn't, but he's actually like usually pretty good. He did that for WSG, and then even for Winter, he came in after not practicing a whole ton and was like, you know what? I heard that Hellbat Cyclone was a thing. I saw like Gumiho do it, I believe, and he actually just could like really read the game so well, and that's usually the problem when you adapt to new styles, is that you're like, you have to take a few dozen games to go, okay, those are the problems that exist.
This is really interesting. Like, he's getting the reactored Hellions.
Right.
He's going Cloak Banshee, but you don't need the third gas to do that, but he has the third gas. He has the natural gas already, and I'm like, I don't know.
2 out of 3, though.
Yeah.
Protoss player?
But this is just weird. I'm just pointing out that it's not a normal thing you would do, because you can afford to do this and then build a third command center. But he's limiting his mineral income a little bit.
Absolutely.
For this extra gas. And I'm asking myself
why.
He's got 200 gas in the bank, starts an armory, but he still has 200 gas. And there's another Banshee already paid for that's coming in, so I'm like, where is this going?
You absolutely usually hold off on those 2 gases till the third CC is slapped down, and then it's like 2 gases at a time.
Did he take his gas in the main late, and then he just took all 3 at once? I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm just crazy. Oh, well. Just trying to provide some insight. I thought he was going to do something weird with the extra gas, but he's not. He just has 400 gas. Okay, I'm not crazy. This is
you're not.
Odd. This is just weird.
Yeah, he will have a big like gas dump to put into what I assume is going to be mech after this.
Yeah. He gets the third command center, by the way, before he does anything with the gas. So I do think it was a little bit of a mistake. Banshee's going to push up. Hellions get a little bit of pressure done onto the Zerglings, but one Banshee, a bunch of queens killed does not.
Yeah, well, there's no Overseer. The lair hasn't started.
How
is the lair not started? That
is... doesn't have a Baneling nest either, so the Hellbat's just going to roll up and fight. Spore Crawlers have big vision.
They do. So okay, so this actually works out fine. I still am surprised by the late lair. As he's playing pretty greedy. No Baneling nest, no lair, right? But he manages to make things okay. I was already kind of judging MaSa for running with those Hellions and making his Hellbats weaker in the first place. Perhaps we have a...
It's mech, by the way.
Yeah,
it was pretty obvious this is what it was going to be with that gas. And he starts Hyperflight Rotors. So it's going to be, I'm going to say it's going to be like Cyclone, Hellion, Banshee. Very fast units that hit hard and are all glass cannons with maybe a transition into, screw it, battlecruisers later. He's going to go battlecruisers later out of this.
Okay, you're just really, all right, maybe.
If he has a bunch of Tech Lab starports, depending on how many more starports he gets, I'm just going to keep my eyes open for that.
So yeah, Silky now gets his lair, and I mean the lay-in and the lair can work out fine, as we saw. It just was, he didn't actually know exactly what MaSa was doing, was all that was weird about it. So he is going to also swap into that +1 missile. It's already committed to the melee. No, he actually canceled it. That was like 80% done. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I feel like if it's that far done, then like it's not usually a terrible thing to have. It is 100-100 and. Perhaps you absolutely needed that for your Hydralisk end, but it's not even the case either. Silky is banking quite a bit, but he does throw down not only the Hydralisk end, but also +2 Carapace, which is quite expensive. He still hasn't really gotten a follow-up scout on what exactly is going down here. He just saw the starport was still cranking out something. Did he read into that being speed? But once again, MaSa moving in with his units before the key structure is done or the key upgrade is done. Almost lost that third Banshee. Comes back to save it, repair it, and by the time he does have Banshee speed, he'll have 4 Banshees. That is a scary amount.
Banshees are heavily affected by the first armor upgrade. In a situation like this, I'm wondering if he's going to get +2 for vehicle attack or if he'll get +1 ship weapons, since the drones take, I think it goes up to like 3 hits for worker kills pretty quickly if you don't get any attack upgrades on Banshees, since Banshees do 2 × 12. They do not just do straight up 24 damage, which makes them heavily affected by it. But the transition is actually into Thors.
Right,
I like it. I mean, I'm maybe one of like 5 people that talks about this, but I love big Thor plays in TVZ. Like Mass Thor Liberator with Hellion is awesome. This push seems a little odd. Don't think he's
not gonna
going to
work.
get anything done with this. No.
No. The Banshees, I mean, it's cool if you can find an opportunity when they're not with a lot of army,
Go poke the main or
vulnerable
something.
army.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you really want to be using them across the map. They can deny creep. They can catch the queens when
Don't
they're a little more
fly
spread
them
out.
Right over the only units that can kill them. Ouch. Ouch.
Spore Crawler getting a couple shots. Like, these aren't really actually doing a lot, and that's unfortunate. But the first 2 Thors popped out, and then that was it. He goes back into tanks. This is something that you'd see if you were like a little concerned by a Spire potential, which he knew wasn't. He scanned. Or if he wanted to do like the Thor drops, like, you know, very old style Gumiho, but he didn't go for Medivacs.
Right.
So I'm still kind of weirded out by the Thors.
Oh,
but
he's just trickling out Banshees with this and moving into normal upgrades. So I guess he just, his goal was to just play a very, I'm not going to say very standard, but a standard to some degree mech style. His wild card is the Banshees instead of going for like, you know, Viking support or Liberator support or battle cruisers. He's just rolling with Banshees. That's what he wants to give himself a little bit of map presence instead of doing something like Cyclones.
And that is legit. It's just unfortunate they haven't really done very much. They still have an opportunity to do a lot more, even in direct fights if the Overseer's not here. If the Thors take out the Overseers as well, it's actually kind of an awkward fight as the Hellbats do tank all of those Lings, and Banelings were in there, and the Hydra's left quite alone. It's not a very big push of mech, but it's a good enough combination of units here to really bully Silky back.
It's not much, but it's honest work, Zombie Grub. Tanks are going to siege up on this high ground position with the Thors to support, and those Hellbats and Banshees up front, getting a little bit of extra pepper in there is nice. The dream scenario here is for MaSa to be able to get the tanks close enough to the hatchery to really force the issue. It looks like some of the Lings are trying to flank. The Hellbats are just about drained, but the Lings are gone, so it's just tanks and a Thor versus a bunch of Hydras.
But the positioning is pretty brutal. This plateau it's actually slightly out of range of the hatchery, so the tanks are taking control here. They're not quite damaging it. But if you do try and move into them, or if they're able to move a little bit more, that's when this position is absolutely brutal, and Silky kind of went into it.
No blue flame really confuses me, but this attack is getting a lot of work done.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of winning the game here.
Yeah.
Silky's lost all of his expensive units, expensive Hydras. He was not really on the way to getting a lot of Hive units, even though it's Hive done. This attack happened sooner, faster, more potent than I think Silky was expecting, and abusing a position that I don't think he had really had to work around, perhaps in other games.
Yeah, I'd like to see him just drop a couple of repair mules here. But that Thor, I'm looking at a Thor with like no health, and it's just my anxiety's getting triggered real bad. That's all.
Well, Silky's not really willing to tap out, and again, if it's like a very low number of mech units, or if they're not protected by Hellions or Hellbats, then sometimes you feel like you can get that last attack in. But this is Hellions are the easiest thing to reproduce, and they're coming forward here. And the tank number is still growing. MaSa's on 4 bases behind this. Silky, I guess, technically still on 5, but he's not using either one of his extra bases.
Yeah, the peripheral bases are just that. Sitting out in the edge, we do have Blue Flame close to finishing now. +3 vehicle attack is coming in too. And with this many tanks and no real way to deal with them, Silky's just slowly having the life choked out of him by this siege. More units are going to rally across the field to come and help. Nice thing about the Speed Banshees in this scenario is they are fast, so they reinforce very quickly. May need to use a scan to keep high ground vision, but no, Hellions are there. And rallying out 7 Hellions at a time is going to give you a good amount of damage against these Hydras. And now the drones that are being pulled off the line. GG MaSa takes game number 1 here in our winners match.
Yeah, Silky pretty unwilling to tap out there. I mean, maybe in the beginning he thought he had a chance, just like I need just that many more units. But as it went on, I feel like it's more one of those painful games where you're like, okay, I was like so close to being ready. Like what the heck, man? Like you're not supposed to attack before you're maxed. You're not supposed to attack, actually like push me here.
You mentioned the late lair and then the canceled +1 attack because he wanted to go for like Ling, probably Ling Bane Muta, presumably if he would have had the opportunity to do so. And that means whatever else he was going to do from the lair was going to be late, so the Hydras were like coming out at the time that the mech army was ready to push, when normally maybe you'd rather have the Hydras a bit earlier and then have the Hive coming or something to keep the mech player from attacking you.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where he obviously thought he could take on the army, but the positioning again and just, you know, MaSa's pretty good macro made it so that he couldn't quite break it, and he realized as he was dying, oh, I probably should have given up this base. And then he would have had the rest of the game to play because he would have been on Hive, still on 4 bases with that 5th kind of, maybe not being mines, but still alive. And that's the rest of a mech game to be played out there, but instead he just kind of gave it away right then and there.
I wonder if he was expecting maybe Cyclone Hellion, because that army is never going to beat like an actual mech push. And maybe that's one of the reasons why MaSa kind of attacked earlier than we felt like he needed to, because he didn't wait for like max supply. He had a pretty big army, but yeah, if you're able to go up against a non-Hive Zerg with that, with just like, he started with like 3 or 4 tanks and like the 2 Thors, that's really hard. That's really hard to stop working with that high ground plateau that you were talking about. Very difficult for the Zerg player to break it. We're here on New Repugnancy for map 2.
And MaSa, once again, on that correct side of things to have his add-ons defensive.
These spawns are all better for Terran.
Yes.
I will say, one thing I do hate about this map, and this actually does bother me a lot, only on the spawn that MaSa has, it's actually really bad to do the normal wall off on your main ramp, because if you use the reactor, for example, to block in the middle, or like a factory, your building layout there with a production structure there will keep a tank or a Thor from moving on the left side, which is one of the only maps in the history of this game where that happens. It really, it's my least favorite thing about playing on this map. I think it used to be the same on year 0, but it got patched. But because of that, it's actually a lot better to just wall off on the bottom. Although he's doing it for a different reason. It's because he wants to do his Reaper meme build, which we've seen him pull off multiple times on this map and King's Cove. We actually saw him do this, I think, when he played his games in WCS Winter, if I recall correctly.
Now, Silky isn't just going for a pull first. He is also getting that gas pretty quick with it. So it's going to make his speed just like a little bit faster. And against the not super all-in, I suppose, Reaper proxies, right? Those don't really exist anymore. That is going to help him. That's going to give him something to work with. But maybe I spoke too soon. We do have a 3rd barracks now coming down. But still, the point is like speed, even if it's like 15 seconds faster, is hopefully a little bit more helpful. But at that cost of the slight bit of economy. So it is still about stopping that snowball no matter what you're given, what timings you're given with. And you also definitely want to be able to scout this, which isn't going to happen for another little while, although it's still making ways across the map. It's going to see the 2nd Reaper, actually, maybe before the 2nd barracks. Almost. But the point is he is going to see it, and we'll see what exactly his reaction is. I mean, you can't really change too many things up. You do want to start that Ling production. Yeah, and these, I mean, it's just Reapers, right? Getting the map control. I really like early Ling speed against these types of builds, though. What's funny about it is, remember back in the day when the Reaper grenade had half as long a cooldown and did twice the damage with its grenade, which is kind of disgusting to think about nowadays, but the fast Ling speed was not even necessarily that good, because if you got it too fast, then you couldn't afford enough Lings to deal with the snowball of the Reapers. Then again, we were also playing on maps like, what was it, Orbital Shipyard, which had 3 cliffs Reapers could go up and down between your main and natural. Or even like so it was like impossible to actually kill Reapers on that map either. That map was the best Reaper maps of all time. It is not such a bad start because that queen is heavily damaged. Yeah. Heavily. If he gets that queen, that's, that's a pretty sick pickup. But, you know, there's not as much cliff space to work in. He's going to try to use the Reaper grenades to zone away the Lings. But there's not really anywhere for him to push to. So these Reapers should all just die. It's like usually the Ling speed finishes at like 325-ish, right? And that is 2 or 3 extra, well, 2 Reapers extra. That would have been the extra 2 Reapers there, and that would have been enough for this number of Zerglings. So that little adjustment by Silky is very smooth. Yeah. So that does work out in his favor. There's that potential that like maybe the Reapers do abuse the high ground, low ground, because they didn't get an opportunity to. They were already being surrounded. And it still looks very awkward for the Zerg, but that was kind of the ideal. He saves the queen. He doesn't use too many Lings in the defense there and does stop the Reaper snowball, in which case, like, even if MaSa does continue to come in here, it really shouldn't do that much, and even losing more Reapers here. One of them gets stuck. Well, they're all stuck. Yeah. Well, the ones in the main could try to suicide towards the mineral line, right? Right. Maybe. Ish, maybe. Not what you really want. Now, you do still throw off the Zerg a little bit, right? Like, so much lava was put into Lings. Cancel the Reapers you're building right now, my dude. Yes, please. Get some Mariners out there. He already has 2. Unless he really just wants to have a big hit squad of Reapers to force endless Ling production, but that just slows him down. Yeah.
He's probably going to go mech out of this, so I guess he doesn't really care. Maybe his plan is just lift the racks afterwards.
It's a good point. Like, if he was going to go into stim, he'd be adding on a tech lab, which the Overlord would see, by the way.
Well, he is completely sabotaging any opportunity he has to play a normal bio game with this many Reapers.
Yeah, I guess he could have done it in the main.
He would have, he would have needed to get the add-ons. And you know what? He probably doesn't want to build them on the low ground either. So he's going to get this factory. He's already taken extra gases. And I'm expecting to see him just follow this up with mech now. If he goes, if he like starts tech lab now and gets stim, he's just saying, "Hey, Silky, do whatever you want for the next 5 minutes, bruh."
No, I think you're absolutely right. And yeah, he would have started stim. He would have gone into Marines. Then he'd probably be kind of skyrocketing up to at least a drop to get some more pressure done. But taking his time, he does have a third CC. Like behind all this aggression, he was doing his own macro, and Silky was thrown off at least a little bit. But he also went pretty quickly into the drones, realized he had a handle on this, and is continuing to pump those out. But just a little bit surprised, as we are, probably by the amount of Reapers.
Yeah, I mean, what this is like the equivalent of. I'm trying to think about it. Like when you try to just have when you open with like 30 links, and you're like, I just want to have these links on the map, right? In case you guys do anything like poke and prod.
You're right.
It's an investment that kind of cuts away from some other stuff. But his goal with this is to just constantly poke. This is his quote. I'm just going to say it. It's like a Hellion opening in a weird sort of way, where he just wants to jab and jab and jab and use the health regen as the sustainability factor.
See what you're saying.
And look, there's the follow-up. 2 more factories, an armory, medevac, Hellions. And suddenly, a couple of Hellions mixed into this to help deal with the Lings, and a lot of Reapers to put the pressure on, with maybe a medevac drop. There's some opportunity for this to get really annoying.
Absolutely. Now, Silky does have both Queens and Roaches, so that's going to be good enough to defend against these either or, like alone, and these Reapers can actually like juggle them for a little while and do some damage. Like actually here, like Silky should not try and chase after them too aggressively.
Second armory coming up now too.
Yeah, he's going double armory immediately. Like, he's being fairly greedy behind this, but that's, I mean, he sees now that it's not just the case that his Reapers aren't seeing an army. They aren't seeing a very fast-moving army either with speed. Finishing up for the Roaches, but just generally Roaches aren't a very speedy army. And Silky, I don't know if I mean, he's getting the missile, so I guess he will be going into Roach Baneling.
And it's Cyclones this game. Magfield Accelerator starts up with armor. Still want to see the second armory go for vehicle attack. You should always get +1 vehicle attack, because that with Blue Flame lets you 2-shot Zerglings throughout all upgrade stages. And then vehicle upgrades don't become too much more of a factor until you have Thors versus Broodlords.
I love the scouting barracks, by the way. They're gonna scout everything on this
Terran Overlords, except they've got like 5 times as much health.
Hey. Yeah, and as he is perhaps just taking on Roachling, Baneling, he won't actually have very many things to shoo those barracks away. Here comes the Hellion drop, no Blue Flame, and it is immediately responded to. Some Lings that try and help out here, a good split, but that is going to be brought back at a later time. Again, nothing to kill these air units.
Also, fun fact, the attack upgrade, while we talk about how upgrades do not affect Magfield Accelerator, the attack upgrade for the Cyclone allows it to 2-shot Zerglings as well, despite any upgrades. So just another nice little benefit to having that early on, since Lings are usually what kills this army if they can get on top of it. Great snipe there, though. Ouch. Yeah.
I guess that does mean all the Queens are away from frontline duty, so that's spreading creep.
Oh, wow. Ravager pickoff, very nice. And the thing is, these Reapers, it's his nice harass force to try and just stay on the map, but they are 100% expendable. Zero doubt there. They've already done their job. Like, he's defended. Like, nothing has come to him in the early game. He's been able to hold on to his base. He's taken his 3rd. He's getting his 4th now. So he's done pretty much everything he needs to do with them. I'd still like to see him bring some Reapers together with him. How does this Hellion just sitting here? What are you doing?
Yeah, he was left alone when his buddies turned into Hellbats. And apparently he deserves to live for that.
I'm just impressed that the Zerg hasn't sent anything to get that one Hellion that's just chilling there, but...
It hadn't scouted it until the creep spread moved out a little bit more, I guess.
There's no way he doesn't see it.
Oh, the Overlord definitely sees it.
This is a no parking zone, sir. The Queens will not validate you. Okay, there you go. It's dead. 18 Banelings on the way. Speed is about to finish up. So the other X factor of the Reapers, because this army's big weakness is Lings, also Banelings, when you try to go on creep, will destroy a lot of these.
Run!
Oof.
Okay, well, your point.
But the point is, you try to keep the creep away, because this Cyclone Hellion is most effective on creep, or excuse me, off creep. But the mixing of the Hyperflight Rotor Banshees, I really like this. You know, like, they can't shoot up. You can try to use Biles, but this does give you some sustained damage that you don't have to micro as much.
Whoa.
It's still a really big push onto the third.
Yeah, so MaSa just wasn't expecting this, or maybe he was hoping the Banshees would actually shoot away, because he doesn't save the SCVs. So if he has saved the SCVs and held this is actually totally fine, but he does lose 28 of them. He also had to cancel his 4th base as well as some additional production.
Yeah. He had a couple extra factories coming in.
Yep.
Really sloppy. I was going to say, I liked everything that was going on here, but he just seemed to be blindsided by that attack.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is not super excusable because his Reapers did see it. So that was just a straight up mistake by him. He is going to try and capitalize on the defensive fight, right, and try and chase after these Roaches. That's when lock-ons are very effective. But he really doesn't have the army to push too much farther forward. Silky is on a cheap army. At least relatively, right? Not Ravagers and Banelings so much, but Lings and Roaches, that he could still go for the numbers. And he still has a high queen count to take care of the Banshees. So MaSa should be very careful. Despite having an okay army, he's going to be on creep. He's going to be surrounded. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's bold. He's far more courageous than I am.
Yep.
Good. Okay.
Gotta stay off the creep.
Yeah, exactly.
Very important.
Just
Banshees
don't
are
actually
getting more
engage.
pokes done.
Don't engage on that creep. But that all
Looks
goes
like
back
some
to the Reapers.
SCVs just get killed there by some Banelings running by.
Nicely done.
Cannot really afford that. He's at 36 SCVs, and 4th Command Center starts up again, but guess what? It's at that 3rd, so it's going to be exposed and vulnerable. More units are coming in to attack, by the way, that 3rd base, while MaSa tries to make his push. More and more SCVs dying. Wow, Silky crushing it this map.
Yeah, well, MaSa, it's not just dealing damage to the economy, it's also taking focus away from MaSa. I mean, either he loses more SCVs than he should, or he loses the army on the front line, which he's kind of like even being forced to go all in with. He's denying creep spread. That's amazing. And if he had a strong macro game behind this, then he's in a very good spot.
Yeah,
but
because
this
I like
is
everything except for his
very
worker
scary.
count, right?
Yeah, exactly. But he is only down 20 supply. Perhaps more lock-ons come down. Silky isn't exactly like rolling in the cash or the production quite yet, but he is adding on some Hydras. His queens are actually on the front lines taking this. Do we have an Overseer?
He killed the Overseer with the lock-on. That's
Yeah.
really big. So these Banshees are able to rain terror down from above. 4 Banshees do a ton of damage. And as soon as those queens are gone, everything becomes so much more complicated because as good as the Hydralisks may be, they don't have that sweet, delicious 8 range. Wow, the army kind of spreading itself out. Definitely not good for Silky. And the Cyclone Hellion able to come up again, but another Zergling counterattack.
Gosh, everything is all in on this attack. MaSa still has actually 4 bases.
He's in the main, the natural, and the 3rd.
Yeah, okay, then you know what?
He finished the 4th command center.
He did.
But
he's going to lose all of his SCVs. He just can't pay attention. No, he's going to go ahead and retreat here and try and salvage his economy. If it had been before these 18 SCVs were lost, or this production was lost, or the CC was lifted, then maybe that's fine.
Got back to like 54, 55-ish, but just, yeah, it's going to be a yikes from me, bro.
That was such a... Because exactly, like he had gotten back up to a decent SCV count, he had finished the 4th, and he knew he was keeping Silky off of 5th, and was also testing Silky's production. So again, it's not like Silky's, 2,000 bank here. But after all that damage was done,
he's really making this into a scrap. I don't know. I'm gonna quote my favorite current music artist and say, MaSa, you gotta quit playing games with my heart because it is absolutely driving me insane. He's got a really big army. Please repair your Cyclones, by the way. Those things aren't cheap.
Eventually getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby steps. We build the supply depots. We protect them. We protect the SCVs. You need those to win the game.
He also needs to buy more time in case Silky gets any ideas about being able to kill that army. So the Banshees are out looking for things to do.
Bend your gas.
I mean, if only we had High Templars.
Yeah. Because of the way that Terran economy works, you always end up floating a silly amount of gas if you take economic damage. It's like the #1 tell that a Terran player is taking a beating, because it doesn't really play into any of the army units. Like, there's no army unit that Terran generally gets that is gas heavy. Like, you just have the Raven, which as a support unit is not really great for fighting in a big way. Fusion Core is coming in though. I want to gas Liberator.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to bring up before everything went topsy-turvy that MaSa was playing the Hellion Cyclone style kind of a little more passively than I expected in his previous games, and that he was going like even faster than the Liberators before really getting aggressive. But obviously this game went the way that it did. It was very weird, but certainly Liberators, which will help hold those chokes, but we have Vipers.
So many Vipers.
Yeah.
I think he's just going to die.
I think so.
Yoink,
No longer
yoink,
being able
yoink,
to kite
yoink.
micro here.
Get over here.
Yeah, MaSa almost turned this into...
He actually baits all the
game.
lock-ons onto the overseers as well. And then it's just, no.
That's it.
Rest
GG.
in Parmesan. Silky ties it up 1-1. I mean, really, the entirety of that game just comes down to having something like a wall by your third and rallying your units to the natural wall.
Yes.
So you force banelings or something to break open the depots to get into the third, which gives you a little bit more time to react or respond. And the best way that we've seen players deal with run-bys is rally to your natural opening so that it just blocks on its own. Innovation did it first years ago. People were very confused. Why is he rallying to a supply depot in front of his base? It's like, well, if the depot dies, it resets the rally points for all the production, so his units will all come out of the barracks and defend themselves.
Indeed.
Similar principle here, but well done by Silky. MaSa's Reapers did not get too much done. I really like the creep spread delay, but it's basically like when you do that style with all the economy he lost, as soon as he lost the momentum, Silky's like, I'm going to go kill you now because Cyclone Hellion is terrible at defending.
Yeah, when it runs out of room to maneuver, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think that game really was, a lot of it was decided off of the not saving the third, though. So the run-bys are obviously amazing. They added like 40 more SCVs killed overall, and that's great. But it all started with him seeing an oncoming attack and then just not moving his army or his
Yeah. He could have got the SCVs out easily.
Yes,
He could have put them all away.
That could have been a safer hold, and then he would have been probably producing more Hellions to even save himself from those future run-bys. But as you said, he also wasn't rallying to the natural per se. He was actually trying to win the game and actually push, and he was rallying forward. And everything went poorly for him from there on out.
Gotta say, did not expect all of our close matches for today's games to be in the Americas side of things, but it's been good. It's been very scrappy. I think we almost got to like game 3 in every match that we've had here for Group C. Group C for close.
Good one. Yeah.
As Port Alexander will be the deciding map for the winners match as we find out who is moving on out of the group.
Yeah. When all said and done, do you think the Reaper opener was good?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. MaSa does it because he likes it, which is that's just like the general answer. It's like, why does this guy do something that seems less efficient or not good or not popular? It's usually just player preference. MaSa has good Reaper micro generally. He likes building Reapers, but he lost like the first 8 without, he almost killed the queen. Almost.
And it is possible that, or not even possible, it's actually probably even more likely that Silky goes for a non-gas pool first.
Yeah.
So he has Lings, but that doesn't really, it's just freebie kills for the Reapers. And then his speed isn't actually that fast, and he does his little hop up and hop down micro.
MaSa 100% won't do that build this game. Port Alexander is the worst Reaper map. I'm like, man, some people have made some really cruel maps because they hate Reapers. I do not think there is one that is worse for Reapers than Port Alexander.
Like in the history of maps?
Yeah, like, well, ever since like people started building Reapers again in Heart of the Swarm, it was like in the rule, it's like in the rules for making maps that you had to have like a little cliff a Reaper could jump up so you can get the scout, and then everyone figured out how to block it. And nowadays there's like some maps where they're just like, no, 0 access into the main. But Port Alexander is especially brutal. There's no cliff into the natural. There's no cliff into the natural. There's no cliff into the main, except from the natural that you have to walk through. So once you're in, like even if you slip by a stalker or a queen or whatever, there's no way out, right?
Yeah,
so it's a one-way ticket.
I don't mind that there's one map that's totally like inaccessible for Reapers, to
me, it's a variety of the spice of life situation, because there's some maps that are disgusting for Reapers, like the last map that we were just on, for example. Like New Repugnancy is a great Reaper map.
So it's just like having an Overlord spot or having, the gas guys on one side of the map or another. Like, it's good to have variety, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
That's
why
vetoes exist. That's why vetoes exist. No!
Yeah.
It's not possible!
I think he's going to do what he did in the first
game. He can't keep getting away with it.
It's the perfect opportunity just to do it on the map they least expect.
But why? Who wants to build their add-ons on the outside of their base?
Yes, this is
why would you subject yourself to this just so you can complain? Classic Terran move.
It's so unlikely for Silky to do anything about those add-ons.
He's going to build the barracks in his main. He's going to do it. He's going to build the barracks in his main. Oh, he's going to command center first.
Oh, you bold boy. So, as you see, there's a spawning pool first here, and you might be like, isn't that terrible for MaSa? Funnily enough,
No,
Command Center
Command Center
finishes.
first, it's too fast. Yeah, that's the weird thing about it.
He's super weird. And I know there's actually some people who are like, why don't you just CC first every time then?
The reason why you don't do that, I think mostly comes down to your follow-up timing, because usually you don't have anything to defend like a normal cheese when you go Command Center first. Like if your opponent was to do that weird build that people don't do anymore because it was so terrible, people figured it out pretty quick, but that like 3 Ravager rush on one base that popped around for a bit, that is like insta-win versus CC first. There's nothing you can do with the Command Center first against that. Your tech just comes in like ridiculously late, and then the Ravager snowball just almost always kill you. But we've seen more CC first lately, I think, because people don't do builds like that anymore.
As it is shifting this way and that, but absolutely, Silky has shown a pool first in every game. Last game he did go for a gas faster, true, but even that would be something that you lift the Command Center and hopefully have a wall, right?
Yep.
At the natural or in the main, either one. So he's doing this, and he's going to find he did it exactly right. It once again is going to be that pool first, which he will not have to worry about, and he gets that little economic edge. We're going to CC down first.
Yep. I like it, though. Command Center first is it's a fun strategy. It's a strategy that makes you feel really powerful. It's also kind of weird, though. There's something about having your first 2 orbital commands synced up on energy.
I know, right?
That actually makes you... I actually think it's worse. I think it's worse to have them synced up like that. Because, and it's not as bad as in Terran versus Zerg, but like in TVT or TVP, whenever you're dealing with like cloaked units,
I'll give you that one for TVP.
It gets really annoying. I mean, we've seen, there's been like top Korean matches where a Terran went Command Center first, drops the 2 mules because they're synced up, and then a DT shows up and it's like, that's it. Neither one is even close to having another scan.
No, I definitely am on board the TVP thing.
Whoa.
Even then, usually the typical 2-base DT timing is like super well known. But yeah, MaSa is going for the double starport. So he's been going speed Banshee every single game,
He's taking the other gas. Take the 4th gas. Take the 4th gas. Do it. Do it now. Okay, he's not going to do it. All right. It's going to be 2 poor Banshee.
Yeah.
The
so
Battlecruiser Dream is dead. No.
a little bit later.
Nice.
I still am hesitant to believe that it's the Battlecruisers.
My fingers are crossed.
I'm very hesitant to believe.
No, there's no possible way he'd have enough resources. But a man can dream.
Servers.
All right. This country wasn't built on not dreaming. Okay.
That's true.
Yes.
Oh my God, are you real? Can you actually afford that? I thought the mineral was too much.
No, the goal is you just kind of stop building you don't build anything. This build dies crazy hard to any sort of cheese.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
But
no add-ons necessary.
800 minerals. 800 minerals is actually, that's about what you make in a minute, which is roughly the time it takes to build a fusion core. Since he's building other stuff, I'm still a little confused, but he's going to have this just be a little bit imperfectly done.
Wait.
At the so basically just so he doesn't die.
Yeah. I was
The double-double, the real double-double here.
That's insane.
This is one of my favorite builds. I haven't ever done it out of Command Center first, but this is probably my #1 ladder build versus Zerg.
Silky's not going to know. Silky has not gone for quick Overlord speed any game. He hasn't even really suicided his Overlords because, well, every time MaSa's had a Marine.
He's starting 1 BC at a time. He doesn't... I find... Okay, if he waits for the resources, they won't be too far apart from each other. But you kind of want them synced up because you teleport them in together. So, tactical jump's cooldown is 71 seconds. If the opponent's lair is not already done with a Spire on the way, you are guaranteed to be able to teleport in and then teleport out before anything like Corruptors come in. Because Corruptor build time is like 28 or 34 seconds. And like I said, the Spire build time is the same as tactical jump. So as long as he gets in and there's not already a Spire coming, he should be good to really wreak some havoc.
Silky should be... Actually, is that the first time he's ever scouted the natural? Might have been. But he still should be confused. Like, there's just not that many Hellions, even if he thought the reactor had been in that factory for a very long time.
Well, if he saw the gases in the natural, he should be a little bit
I don't
aware.
think he
Something
did.
funky's going down.
He didn't, but he sees a lack of units because he did get right up to that supply depot to attack it. So, but that's like, it's a really hard thing to read because there's so many things that could still be happening. He could still like even think that it's another type of cheesy build, weird build, but double Battlecruiser with Yamato, which was nerfed. So it takes a little while to go and upgrade there. But he is getting it, and he's even going for
All right, there we go. 2
Battlecruiser.
BCs in the main. No Spire on the way, so there's really nothing that can deal with these other than just the Queens coming up and trying to poke, and of course the Spore Crawlers, but I think it's better if you just sit here, you just kill every single drone, zero problem if you just Focus Fire them
Focus
down.
Fire, right, exactly.
Yep.
The other nerf to the Battlecruiser, since people are having trouble in the early days about it.
It was, honestly, I do accept that one was definitely more of a bug fix, because it was the only unit that didn't prioritize stuff attacking it.
I mean, the Oracle's bugged right now. And
well.
Okay. So, 8 drones go down, a Queen, a Spore Crawler, an Overlord, and of course the Battlecruiser survive. They're also going to have buddies. 2 more Battlecruisers are on the way, and now Yamato is done.
That's really what makes it start. So the Spire is just starting, and if MaSa sniffs this out, this is like the Terran dream, is that you see that Spire, and your Battlecruisers can pretty easily shut it down. Now, out of curiosity, where is that Spire being built?
It's in the 3rd base on the bottom side.
Okay. That'll be hard to find. There's 3 spores there, so I don't think he's actually going to get there.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let's see. Getting a little low.
Tactical jump cooldown is almost refreshed, so he should be able to get out. That Battlecruiser sees it. If you see the building Spire, if you see that building Spire, get those 2 BCs on top of it right now.
Okay.
Shut that Spire down.
He sees it. He should recognize it's not a building Spore Crawler, but his Battlecruiser is actually going to go down. Good Lord, jeez. 3-0. And these 2 Battlecruisers are still.
All right, he's going to get more drones, but Corruptors should be able to come out. Yeah, Corruptors should be able to come out and probably deal with these ones.
He will be able to build 10 Corruptors.
Yeah. He's already building a Cyclone back home. And the thing is, even with Corruptors, even like SCVs to repair back home if the BCs are able to escape is really nice. Yeah. If he had seen that Spire, that's like, oh my god. Whenever I do this, my favorite thing is you just scan any base that you don't teleport towards. If you see the building Spire, your next 2 BCs, boom, teleport straight onto it, kill it.
He has 1 Queen right now, just by the way. Just 1 Queen. Nope, just 0 Queens.
He is about to kill 2 Battlecruisers though, so he's got that, which is nice.
Yes, that is nice. So the other 2 Battlecruisers, as weak as they were, went back home to be repaired, but he's about to have 2 more.
This one's actually almost off cooldown. Yeah, he can get out.
Get out, get out, get out.
Nice.
Okay, so he only gets 1.
That's really good then.
5 Battlecruisers then?
That's really, really good. Yeah, he has 5 BCs and another 1 on the way. And so what you do is you use that 1 factory, you get yourself Magfield Accelerator, and then you just start cranking out Cyclones. Cyclones are, in my opinion, next to Archons, the best unit in the game versus Corruptors. They are silly good.
This game, it just feels like it's already a lost cause for Silky. He's had to invest so much into waiting for Corruptors, and now the only thing he has is Corruptors, which really can't do very much against the ground, which will eventually grow in size.
That's it. You hit the nail on the head, is that the Corruptors have almost no utility against the ground. Really, your only concern is like them coming and trying to caustic spray, but even then, you have Cyclones, so they can deal with that. And as long as you're picking off a handful of Corruptors here and there, you're good. Baneling run by against VCs. Oh.
Silky can't even utilize his upgrades.
Yeah, he's like, I'm too slow. I'm dummy thick. I can't catch that
That's
overseer.
A 4th base scouted, turning into a planetary that he just really can't do anything about.
Yeah. That is most unfortunate. He's got a wall here as well.
Still going into he's still adding on Corruptors.
And this is the best, by the way. He's just gonna. So what Silky's gonna do? This is the NA YOLO style versus this comp. So what he's going to do is try to make a ton of roaches, a ton of Corruptors, and he's just going to try and suicide onto maybe this 4th or 3rd base and just try to bowl over and kill everything in one giant attack. I don't know that it's going to work, but use the Yamatos against Corruptors, teleport back. This could work if MaSa does not set up like any missile turrets at all, because then the Battlecruisers, much like Cyclone Hellion, Battlecruisers are actually really bad at defending, unless you have a huge core of missile turrets underneath them.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's something he could add that would just make me believe he would never be broken. But even without those, I'm seeing Silky. I mean, he's still going for more Corruptors.
There's
so
only
one
reason. There's only one reason you make this many Corruptors.
But he's also getting drones and an Infestor, and he's even getting an upgrade.
That is confusing. I don't think building this many Corruptors at this point in time is a good idea. Like, you already have enough to push the VCs away. So that's, yeah, I think the bigger concern is going to become the ground army soon. And there's an Infestor or 2, but I guess there's not a tremendous amount of selling Cyclone Hellion yet.
Not yet. There's also not a super big amount of roaches, though, as Silky's still sub 150.
Yeah, I don't think all these guys have their teleports off cooldown. So this actually, I think it's a huge mistake with the BCs.
It might just be.
It's going to lose a lot of them. The Roaches are still drawing some of the aggro from the Cyclones.
Yes.
And BCs do not kill Corruptors, so he's going to pop his Yamatos. If you can teleport out, teleport out.
That did turn awkward. That did.
Yeah, I think ideally right now you want to get up probably to 7 factories so you can get more Cyclone Heli in production. I'd get 2 more factories would be really big here. And frankly speaking, he has enough Corruptors to just fly across the map, probably get a sick engagement off some of these BCs. Okay, just 9. Okay,
he was.
You know what?
Down.
No, he killed more of them than I thought he did. Never mind.
Yeah, he eventually did sort of lock on to those Corruptors, but it was awkward.
It still always makes me nervous when there's not like just a couple of turrets set up there in case they do try to make a big push on you.
Yeah, and there's also
caustic spray is also something that you have to keep on your mind for the rest of the game too.
It's also just not something that's really that expensive for MaSa to do. Instead of building 7 missile turrets, he built 3 command centers. Or 12 missile turrets.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
No, because he's actually not in trouble is the thing. But it's just one of those, like, you could have probably gone for missile turrets first and been really super safe.
Yeah, there were some, I didn't realize he actually got through so many of the Corruptors. I think he had 19 when that first fight happened.
Yeah,
getting about 10 of them was pretty huge. More are going to come out. So here's the real conundrum for a Zerg player in this situation. How does Silky, first of all, how do you deal with this army? Second of all, how do you transition into something that can actually kill a Mech Terran player? Because if you try to get Broodlords, that takes away your Corruptor count. They take up a lot of supply. Battlecruisers are actually amazing versus them. This is a nice spot that he's able to get some fungal growths on the Cyclones, but the Corruptors are not here, so the Battlecruisers are able to show up and help deal tons of damage to those ground forces. And since the Infestors are gone, he can't fungal the BCs, which means the Battlecruisers can teleport out whenever they want.
Oh, he still has more Cyclones being rallied in here. So 4 Cyclones, along with 6 Battlecruisers.
1 Roach and 17 Corruptors.
Yeah, those Corruptors, they want to do something. They're going to try and do something, along with Spore Crawlers being the front lines, and actually MaSa just leaves.
He's like, well, I don't have to worry about those units, so my ground units are more than enough, my dude.
It's just...
But that's the real issue. If you're a Zerg player, what do you do from this position? You need a sick fungal that lets you kill all the BCs. Otherwise, you can't build Broodlords. How are you going to build Broodlords when your opponent has 6 Battlecruisers?
Yeah. I think what you have to do, actually, is go into the Spellcasters and kind of stay on this layer tech. Because you can't really afford to go into enough of, as you're saying, Broodlords, right? But he can't even do that. He can't even get max with Infestors and Vipers, you know, for some Abducts to start chipping away at this army, as he's still struggling to get above 170.
Hard, by the way. Really hard to do harass with Corruptors in this situation. The Cyclones being at home. Oh my god. Oh my god, he flies back over them.
That's 3 more, 4 more.
Dumpster. Close. Garbage man's getting paid today.
Silky has bumped that investor count up to 4, going on 7 with energy, but now he has no parasite, and he still only has those Corruptors. Really, 8 roaches, 8 roaches and infestors. That's kind of it.
This is beautiful to watch. I'm not gonna hide my bias. This game, Zombie Grub.
Hey, I can tell.
I get to watch a very good player do what I do at a higher level, and that is just very fun.
All of this started with Silky taking a tremendous amount of damage, not really getting the proper scout, and that more power to MaSa to recognize that Silky wasn't really getting a lot of scouting done, and that he could be abused like this.
Yeah,
but
this is just pain.
It's painful, right? Now we're watching the slow death.
He had to build all these Corruptors, which are totally useless because he hasn't really killed the BCs. This is his one opportunity. He gets close. He's got some fungals. Where are the Corruptors to finish them off?
Late to party.
Even a millisecond of not being fungled in the BCs can teleport out.
The Corruptors all came in, and that's going to be it as the mules are dropped.
MaSa takes the 2-1, gets out of the group in first place. Very well done. Warms my heart to see Battlecruisers.
So
double
happy for
BC. Double BC is such a fun build. It's so fun. It's my favorite build versus Zerg.
So happy that happened for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. I get to cast that game. I'm a happy boy.
Yes. Well, we kind of expected MaSa to come out first, but he was certainly tested and did have to kind of bring out some of the weirder builds. But he is out first in this group, as in he gets through first. And Silky will have to go ahead and face future once again, which was a pretty cool TVC.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Silky did a really good job against Future. Future did not really adjust what he was doing too much to Silky's play. So if Silky's able to make a repeat performance, I feel very confident about him going forward. But that shapes up the rest of our schedule, ladies and gentlemen. We have one series remaining to bring you here for WCS America. And it is going to be that decider. Who's making it out second place in this group? Our Terran and Zerg player. We got Future versus Silky. Best of 3 coming up. You're watching the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series.